Barely a month after John Mbadi took over the prestigious Ministry of Finance, things are happening in that office. He has been met with the news that one of his staff members is dead under very mysterious circumstances. Now, it is reported that the family of Evans Churchill, who is the employee who was working at Mbadi's office now, was found dead, and he was found in Machakos level 5. And more revelations is that he had complained about some tender issues. He was involved in some tender that would cost 286 million Kenya shillings. And he had complained to the brother that he was feeling uneasy because there were threats about this very tender. Now, ladies and gentlemen, when someone is working in Treasury and is in the Department of Procurement, you'd think that things are very rosy there. But you realize that there are intrigues that come with it. When someone complains that I feel that my life is in danger, and then a few days later, he's gone because he failed to return home one weekend. And then when the family inquired, they were told he has accompanied some friends to Machakos only to be found dead. And the lawyers are saying that they could easily link his death to the procurement issues that involved 286 million Kenya shillings. That is pure corruption, because if things are done in a clean manner, simply advertise the tender, then you invite those who are interested and you give it to the right person. Now, when a tender can result into death, then you know that it was done in a clandestine manner, or it was in the process of being done secretly, and there was money and corruption that was involved. I'm not an investigation officer, but that is what we would think of. Now, Mbadi is new into that office. He's barely a month or two. Then the former treasury boss, Njuguna Dungu, has now exited the office. So, as a layman, if you would be asked, whom do you blame? The answer is very simple. If investigation starts, John Mbadi, Njuguna Ndungu, and all the staff, plus all the friends, would be questioned. Knowing what Kenya is, I doubt whether justice is going to be found. But I want us to look at something here. Why do you think, or what do you think led to the death of this officer, Churchill? That's what I want us to look at, because a hint has been given. It was involving some 286 million Kenya shillings. And I have a feeling, ladies and gentlemen, that someone was concealing evidence. We have a new office, not a new office, rather, but a new office bearer. Njuguna Ndungu is gone. We have John Mbadi. He even met a representative from the IMF. And you see, whenever there are such changes, John Mbadi promised a lot, that he was going to leave no stone unturned. You think that maybe this officer knew something that some people did not want to be exposed. And in circumstances such as that, they will clear you. Maybe someone knows very well that the auditors would be called to start auditing, because John Mbadi may have wanted that as he begins his work, then he wants to scrutinize what has been happening within the system. And so it could be a process of trying to clear the evidence, so that as auditors come, the people who are directly involved would be no more, and therefore you cannot apportion the blame to someone who is gone. I'm thinking that that could be one of the reasons why he is cleared. Number two, it could be a deal gone sour. In matters procurement, and especially when corruption is involved, maybe some money exchanged hands, and then someone realizes that He's not being, he's sure that the direction that this is taking, he is not going to be a lucky one. So what do? They simply decide that if we are not going to get this tender, then we want to clear someone. Then they are hopeful that the assistant, the deputies, or those who will take over would do things in their way. It happens in Africa, it happens in Kenya. You don't want to give us this, we clear you. Mr. B will come in and we'll have a deal with him, then he will give us this tender. When money is involved, kickbacks are there. We are in a corrupt nation. 286 million worth of tender. Some will tell you, give me the tender, I'll give you 50 million as kickback. So it is about some deal gone sour. Someone realizes, I'm not going to get this deal, so you have to be cleared. It could also mean that maybe you have taken some money, or you have been in agreement with someone and you want, yani ile unataka kuarusha. Sometimes these things do happen, and it's about cartels. In every ministry there are cartels. They would always want to control the way things are happening, which tenders goes to war, who. That's how things happen. When they realize that you cannot tag along, you cannot play along, then you are gone. And that brings me to maybe the last one, is just about someone who has refused to play along. There are some people who are just clean. You're approached, give us this, we will do this, and you say, no, I want to follow due process. And they tell you there's nothing like due process. Once you have discussed that with them, you accept you are at risk because you've done deals with them. You refuse, you're even at a higher risk, because now they look at you as someone who can betray them. They have shared with you that information, you have refused, and therefore you are a danger to them. So it could be a case of someone who wants to remain clean in an environment that is filthy, and therefore you have to go. There could be a possibility that as the new team comes in, John Mbadi with his staff, because there are a few staff that John Mbadi is going to go with in that office, it could be a warning. Sometimes Mbadi is a big man in that office. He's the highest authority in the Treasury. Sometimes when you seem to be so strict, they will send a warning. And how do they do that? They will kill someone, especially in the procurement. Wewe tumia akili. They will tell you, you're not immortal. We can come for you. And if the warning is not directed to John Mbadi, then it could be directed to the people around him. If you know you are going to be in that office, if you know you are part, because procurement could be a process. It has to pass through some people, their signatures are needed. So it could be a warning that come slow. Sikuja hapa na kierere. And that is how sometimes cartels work. Those could be possibilities. I don't know what you think. What do you think would have led to the death? We are speculating, yet the responsibility it falls under the purview of the DCI. They will tell us what happened, even though I doubt. Because if it involves cartels, then the same cartels will ensure that justice is not dispensed. And that's what I'm thinking. And the reason why speculations are high is that he had indicated that his life was in danger. When your life is in danger and you die mysteriously, then people would always conclude that the people who are after your life, are the ones responsible for your death. Our condolences to the family members, friends, as they mourn. Let God give them the strength. But one thing that you should know is that we are doomed as a country. If people could be dying anyhow because they are involved in some tender, whether you are the giver of the bribe, whether you are the receiver of the bribe, if at all it was involved, we are very far from being a nation that one can be proud of. Because we have created a culture ya kitu kidogo. Before you do something, money has to exchange hands. And that is why we feel, that's why those are one of the reasons why people even feel that they should even go back to the streets, because it points to a deeper problem, that when procurements are involved, tenderpreneurs and others, then you have to part with the money before you are given that tender. What about someone who does not have money to bribe the officers? What about people who do not want to? It's very pathetic and very sad.